noticed that you talked about the connecting to clients, to entrepreneurs using digital technology, using technology. But I've noticed that in the Central Asia, a lot of people are resistant to change because of our culture and because of tradition. So how would entrepreneurs go around facing this challenge? Like, how would we encourage people to use new forms of technology when we come up with different ideas that require the use of this technology? Thank you.
Challenging question. So you're asking in Singapore and in some of Southeast Asia, how do you get people to really embrace some of the new technology platforms to be able to use some of the entrepreneurial ideas and startups that you all are thinking about?
Great question. So every once in a while, maybe every decade, someone through some level of intention and some level of luck invents something like Facebook that just goes so fast, transforms the way so many people communicate and connect or live their lives or do business, and it just grows like absolute wildfire. Those are very, very, very rare, and even in those cases, you watch it go through a cycle where a relatively small number of early adopters become fanatical users of it first. In the case of a Facebook, it was college students, right, who were really just trying to figure out how to date better, like how to figure out who was available, who was doing what, on college campuses, and then it was the college students who had recently graduated and started to enter the workforce a little bit, and then, 3, 4, 5 years later, your grandparents were getting onto Facebook, but it went through a progression of early adopters to sort of early majority users to sort of that really mainstream market, and then eventually to all the laggards where it becomes almost impossible, even if you hate Facebook, to not be on it. That's a technology that's grown more rapidly than almost any other in the last few decades. For the vast majority of entrepreneurs, those dynamics, right, identifying your early adopters, really, really doing an incredible job of delivering for them, making them evangelists for your product, using them to slowly bridge into kind of that early majority of users with more mainstream requirements, really doing a great job of servicing them, then using their kind of reference to move into more of that mainstream market. This is a path that almost every entrepreneur needs to go through in terms of their market development. So, almost nobody really embraces change for the sake of just embracing change. We might think that we want to, but the vast majority of people are only really going to change their habits and behavior in terms of adopting a new technology or solution if it's really, really valuable, right? If it really solves a painful problem, if it really removes a frustration point. So you need, your job if you're introducing a really new disruptive technology is to figure out that very, very small subset of people who do just want to try something new just because it's new and cool, or who have such an incredible pain point that they're willing to try something just for the sake of it. We call those kinds of people early adopters. And being able to sort of identify and understand who your early adopters are is just incredibly, incredibly important. And so when we work with entrepreneurs a lot of the time, they want to talk about their product. It's great, or their service, whatever it is. We want to talk about, as investors, we want to talk about their understanding of their customer and their ability to really, really clearly identify who their early adopters are, what their pain point is, what attributes they have so that you can easily identify and reach them, the channels you're going to use to reach those early adopters. Because until you can really dominate the early adopters in whatever your segment is, it's going to be very hard to move on to the rest and eventually build a really big business. My experience with startups all around the world is those same basic dynamics of having to figure out who your core early users are first and then expand holds true regardless of the technology, regardless of where you are, even if the particulars of who your early adopters are different.